right, we have just concluded the Republican primary Senate debate here at the Carolina Liberty Conference. Tell me how you think it went.
Actually, I thought it was great, Donna. First of all, you are a fabulous moderator, and thanks to Jonah Kaplan from ABC 11 for joining us. But you know what was different about this one so many other debates, we made it very, very clear this was a policy debate. We're a public policy organization, the John Locke Foundation, of course, the Carolina Journal, which is our media outlet. It's about public policy. The people in this room, the people at this conference, the people that will be voting in this primary, they care about policy. What I loved about this debate, it was policy driven.
It really was, and really the whole week was, which I was fascinated. I love standing in the halls, talking to people, crossing paths, and the culmination of it really was this space that we see where the candidates were able to get up there, share their positions, and I feel like it was really civil, just enough fireworks to keep it funny and interesting, and of course great questions that we worked on for a while. Jonah Kaplan getting in there and really expanding some of their positions and really digging in deep. I was really impressed with what these candidates had to say. Did you learn anything that surprised you?
Great question. I'll tell you what I loved about it, and I'll start with this. 3 candidates showed, Ted Budd did not. So let me back up real quick.
Sure.
There were criteria to be on the stage, right? There are certainly more candidates than what were up on the stage tonight. And that you had to have $500,000 in the bank, or you have to have raised $400,000 according to the last FEC filing, or you had to have 10% in the poll. There were only 4 candidates that met that criteria, and we invited all 4 of those candidates. 3 showed up, 1 did not. The 3 that showed up, Governor McCrory, Congressman Mark Walker, and then Marjorie Eastman, Captain, veteran in the military. Congressman Budd did not show up. Here's what was interesting. All 3 different perspectives. Yeah. Governor McCrory, you can tell, is a man that has led a city and then a state. Congressman Walker, he's got that preacher. I love hearing him. There's a little fire and passion in there. And Marjorie Eastman, she's a mom and she's a veteran. What surprised me the most is the 3 different personalities that came out. Sure. They certainly had slight differences, variations on public policy, but all 3 showed different personalities. I think that's important. Voters are going to want to know that. Right. And all 3, they certainly made their case for, the one who has done some executive. You've got the congressman and the fiery, and then you've got the combat veteran / mom. Sure. So I think the 3 different personalities that came out is probably the one thing that surprised me.
I think so too. I think it was great. And one of the things that we worked on to formulate these questions was some of our polling that we've done through the John Locke Foundation about what issues are really important to primary Republican voters. Among them, of course, was voter integrity. It was securing the southern border, and all of those points came out. And I think it really gave our group here at CLC a chance to hear from the candidates firsthand. Did you think it was interesting? I thought it was interesting that 2 of the 3 closing statements were about border security. I didn't think that was really going to rise to the level of a closing statement in this debate.
Yeah, great point. And actually, I think border security has come up more and more as the United States, under the Biden administration, has been very concerned, as we all should be, about the border security in Ukraine, right? That huge issue. But there is a justifiable argument to be made. Yes, we should be concerned about the border security in Ukraine, but shouldn't we be equally concerned about the border security on our southern border? Right. There's a lot of hypocrisy that appears to be coming out of the Biden administration when you're so concerned about one border but not our own. Right. Both are worthy of our attention and concern, and clearly North Carolina primary voters want to know what these candidates would do if they elected them to the U.S. Senate. What would they do to secure our southern border.
Sure. What other issues do you think really are something that people are going to be watching in this primary election?
You mentioned election integrity, election security. I don't think we can underestimate that at all. One thing that we found in our primary polling at that time, Afghanistan had been in the summer, so foreign policy was down there, was a little bit lower. I think foreign policy is going to rise up.
Sure.
They're going to want to see people who can stand up to Putin, who would have said, you know what, sanctions should have been done earlier. Right. And I've got a master's degree in history. Sometimes I wish I knew less, but it is hard not to make comparisons to 1939 with the border between Ukraine and Poland. We need people, we truly do need adults in the room. If you remember the Biden administration, when it was candidate Biden, he kept saying the adults are going to be back. We're going to have adults in the room. Nobody feels like that. Right. I think the Biden administration has the lowest approval ratings ever. I saw one that came out in the Hill today, 38%. We're in a precarious place. And I was glad to see all three of those candidates. They know that. They know that this is an important time in our history.
It really is. And because of that, CLC, of course, Carolina Liberty Conference falls at a great time for North Carolinians and for the country to really dig into these issues. Do you feel like that is part of what I got out of this weekend is, we saw faces for the first time in 2 years. No masks. We had people hugging and shaking hands and really digging into big issues about, wokeness in education, about liberty and free expression and the power of large digital tech companies. These are huge issues. Why do you think we bring people together for things like the Carolina Liberty Conference?
Wow, great question. So first of all, here's what, this has been 2 really hard years, right? 2 very, very hard years. We're social creatures. We have been kept apart, and even if we're together, it's with a mask, or you're not supposed to touch each other. You don't know what somebody else's boundaries are. It was one of the first times that I have seen where people, the open smiles, I'm going to hug you, you're going to hug me, we're going to shake hands, we're going to get close, we're going to talk, we might debate a little bit, we might disagree on a couple of nuances on policy, but we're humans. We are decent people who are just coming together. The other thing, all those important topics that you talked about, here's the other thing. We need to laugh sometimes. I haven't been to a place that has been so happy in 2 years, where people were smiling and enjoying each other. And Seth Dillon of Babylon Bee on Friday night, along with some bluegrass music. So there's music going, people are feeling, there's a little bit of a party vibe. It's fun. And then Seth Dillon comes on and makes us all laugh. It's okay to laugh at ourselves. And one of the things, he said, we've almost become, reality is so absurd, it's almost the joke itself. And so he showed us, not only is it okay to laugh, it's important to laugh, it's important to poke fun at everything and everyone. Because, by the way, some of these ideas are so absurd, they deserve it. And he also told us, this is like, if we can't defend freedom and our right to free speech now, when it's most threatened, sort of, what are we doing here? And he told, don't be afraid. I can't think of a better message right now at this moment in time than don't be afraid of speaking our minds. So important.
Absolutely. So when's the next one? Do we know yet if we're going to be doing this again? It was a huge lift, fantastic staff, amazing turnout. Let's do it again.
Oh my gosh. Somebody said to me, so we're going to do it again next year?
Right.
I'm like, and they're like,
we better start tomorrow.
We put this together in a very short runway because we didn't know if we'd even be able to do it.
Right.
So the staff has done a phenomenal job. These aren't easy to pull together. We had major events inside of major events. That being said, no, it's not going to be next year, but we'll do it every other year because election years seem to be the one that everybody is most engaged. I did say to somebody, okay, listen, who said, let's do it again next year. No. How about just a party?
I like
How about
that.
if we just have a big
I
party?
like that. You took away one big picture idea from CLC. What would it be?
Wow. There so many, a couple come to mind, but I will say this. The last 2 years we've been robbed. We were robbed of 2 years of our lives. And children, for them, 2 years is a generation practically. That should never, ever happen again, ever. And so when we say never again, like never again should we allow government to frighten us to a point of shutting us off from our friends, from our neighbors, from our families, from our economy. I think we've learned an enormous lesson, and I hope the history books write in a way that the last 2 years, we never have to relive this again.
Fantastic. Amy Cooke, CEO of the John Locke Foundation, thanks so much, and we're going to go celebrate.
Amen.